Etepu and Namaste. This is Gasakma Keperu here with another broadcast. And you're probably wondering why I'm wearing these glasses. I just saw a 3D movie, which is great. And they had these, usually they have these dispensers where you can throw the 3D glasses in, and I didn't see one, so I ended up taking this home. I don't really need it anyway. I've got so many here, but I love it. Somebody said it reminded them of Tom Cruise in Risky Business. Do I look like Tom Cruise? Let me get my regular glasses on. I actually wasn't going to make a video today, but something compelled me. Saw an article in the Grio, and I'm reading it now, about Libya. Apparently, there's a slave trade in Libya. But before I get to that, I want to tell you guys that I talked about SAD, seasonal affective disorder, that I have. It's now officially under control, and I feel so good, and I'm eating my chocolate ice cream, which is a mood enhancer, which is helping as well. And this is made with almond milk. And I mean, you guys don't realize how good I feel not being depressed every day due to the shorter days and changes in the weather, So depression is nothing to be played with. It could really curtail your life. It could stop you from making real progress in your life. Make you very lethargic. You don't want to get up in the morning. You don't want to do anything. I'm a workaholic anyway, so it's even with that seasonal affective disorder, I still get up and I still do a lot of things, because I can't sit still. And taking a day off or vacation, I go crazy insane. I've always got to be working. I'm very much also a multitasker. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about Libya's slave trade. And if you have been under a rock, you don't even have to be under a rock. The mainstream media is really not covering this in the way they should. Where apparently there are these images that are being circulated on Facebook where you see these black males that are just, it's horrific. They're being beaten, hung, and they're being sold into slavery. And I guess apparently what's going on is like, them and their families are being told they could go, I guess, to Europe for a better life, but they're actually not headed. They're not headed to Europe for a better life. They're actually being sold into slavery under the guise of leaving Libya for a better life. Now, what caused this? What caused this specifically was the Obama administration under Hillary Clinton getting rid or assassinating Muammar Gaddafi, who was the leader. And when they got rid of him, it paved the way for lawlessness in Libya, with many different factions vying for control, and ISIS going in there and trying to take over as well. And this is where you get the corruption, and this is where you now have modern day slavery arising. And this is kind of what I wanted to touch upon briefly, is that number one, this is not being covered in mainstream media because this is not white slavery. It has nothing to do with white or European people, especially European women. So the media doesn't care about this. Because it's black males, this is being swept under the rug. Now, this is the United States' MO. You have to understand that the freedoms that you and I enjoy living in this country come at a price. And, you hear Bruce Springsteen song, Born in USA. You hear these patriots talking, you shouldn't be kneeling. You should, support the flag and all this common nonsense, If you knew what it took to maintain this way of life, you would probably have a different perspective, because when you see these TV commercials of third world countries that are impoverished, that these little kids who are skinny, malnourished, flies all around them, and you're trying to say, well, they're such a disadvantage because, they're not as intelligent as us. Their country can't really compete with us because they're a backwards country. No, that's not what it is. The reason that they are the way they are, that they're impoverished, they have no food, that they can't build their infrastructure, is because the United States has bankrupted third world countries, invaded them, and purposely kept them from building an infrastructure. You see, what we've done with Libya, we do with every third world country. We see that they have some natural resource that we want, whether it be oil, gold, silver, whatever. We go in there and we put up a propaganda campaign, especially in the United States through mainstream media, that their democratically elected leader is evil. He's gassing the people. He's using chemical warfare like Saddam Hussein. We put up a propaganda campaign that he was gassing his own people, or that he had weapons of mass destruction when he really didn't. You know, and when we said was Muammar Gaddafi was evil, when Libya had free education, free health care, you know, Cuba, same thing. But you see, the American media system wants to paint these people as these leaders as dictators and evil, because they've got something we want, and they won't play ball with the United States. So what we need to do, what we want to do, is we want to topple their country, take out their democratically elected leader or their leaders who the people love, and we create this campaign so there could be some type of coup d'etat, or we drop leaflets in the country to cause a political uprising so that that leader can be taken out. And this is done all the time, especially with Patrice Lumumba. And then when the person is taken out, well, we put in our puppet leader, and we pay this puppet leader millions, billions of dollars, who he hoards for himself and doesn't give back to the country. And that's why you find that the population, the citizens of that country, are impoverished, don't have proper education, there are no jobs, because the puppet leader is hoarding the wealth, who's raiding the country's bank. So what happens? So then, if the leader decides that he wants to build an infrastructure, he goes to the United States and says, I want to start building infrastructure like schools, factories. So the United States works in conjunction with the World Bank and says, well, we'll lend you money, but it's going to come at a cost of a high interest rate. So you'll be in debt to us for life, and you'll never get out of debt. Sounds like a scheme like the credit card scheme we have here in the United States. And so you can never get out, forever in debt, paying to us, so that your people in your country will work for slave labor, and they'll make nothing, like 35 cents a week. Do you see what I'm saying? This is purposely orchestrated to keep that third world country or countries in debt, impoverished, so they can't become a world power, so they can't unite with other countries to challenge the United States. And if they ever get to a point where they could challenge the United States will put out propaganda such as they're hoarding weapons of mass destruction, or they have chemical warfare, or they're threats like North Korea. They're issuing threats against us. And all of this is just propaganda. You see, what we are engaged in this country is colonialism. We've been doing it from the earliest times. We're going and we're invading other countries under the guise of spreading democracy. That's another thing we do, or that they are have a dictator, an evil dictator that must be taken out. And the Obama administration is no different. Every president that comes in has to prove two things: number one, that he is a Christian; number two, that he can start a war. Obama administration did more drone strikes than the Bush administration. And I've told you that every president that comes into office doesn't have empathy. So that is genetically weeded out to them, because you can't become president of the United States and feel compassion for people who you're killing, men, women, and especially children. You can't have an attack of conscience, because then you're no good to the hidden hand that controls the world, the planet. You're no good to them. Because if you suddenly have an attack of morality, they're going to have to take you out like they did JFK. So what I'm saying to you is, yes, I'm concerned about the slave trade in Libya and slavery that's going on, But I'm more concerned about how this is a pattern and practice of this country that we keep sweeping under the rug, that we keep hiding under the guise of spreading democracy or taking out evil dictators. And we keep putting out this mainstream media propaganda about how they're evil and this just because they won't go along with the United States. When you look at Muammar Gaddafi, when you look at Cuba, Castro, yes, they have done some bad things, but on a whole, they have set up their infrastructure to support the people. Anytime you're giving free healthcare, free education, that's telling you that these leaders do care about their people. Because we don't have free healthcare and free education in this country. And we're supposed to be the most advanced country on the planet of the earth. So we have to look at what we are doing and stop falling for the programming that's being put out there every time we want to justify, or they want to justify, a war or an invasion. Because every time a president comes into office, they create a fictitious villain, whether it's Saddam Hussein, ISIS, North Korea, it's always some villain. And most of the time, those villains are created by the CIA, or it's created or by secret government organizations. I mean, all of this is common knowledge. But we're so part of the matrix, and we've been so indoctrinated into the brainwashing programming that we refuse to look at the truth. We refuse to say the freedoms I enjoy, the things that I buy, the Christmas that I'm going to have, all comes thanks to us bankrupting third world countries, all come to us having children working as slaves in these third world countries, building iPhones or whatever, Not that children are building iPhones. I don't know if that's certain or not, but I'm just saying that we know that the children are picking the cocoa beans to create chocolate bars and stuff like that, and they can't even afford to buy a chocolate bar. I mean, it's ridiculous what's going on. But we refuse to look at this, and then when someone takes a knee during an actual anthem to protest what this country's about, we start looking at them as if they're wrong. No, you should be taking a knee too, and in fact, doing much more, because your country now is an invader. Your country is worse than Napoleon, worse than King Leopold, worse than Hitler. When you start invading other sovereign nations who are trying to build their countries to be military mights and power and feed their people, and you start invading them and prevent them from doing that, from being sovereign, then you are the evil. That is something to think about. So I want you guys to go to the Grio and read this article. I'll put a link in the box down below. And if you like this video, if you like the things that I'm talking about, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. It's very important. Share this video with friends and family members. Let's get the revolution started. Let's talk about these subjects. They're very important. And until my next broadcast, this is Kasank Ma Keperu. And that's all for now. Amun Ra.